Hello and welcome. I am Raghav. So this is the next part. Until now, we have covered all these topics in our Playwright Java test automation framework. So today we are going to start with page object model, and this is going to be very exciting and it will be very easy. I will go step by step. So let's start page object model. Okay, let us look at this particular script. This is our Playwright JavaScript, and you can see here this part that you can see with a blue outline. This is where we are finding the object, which is the username text box in this case, and we are finding that object using some object properties, and then we are doing the action on the object, that is adding the or writing the username here. Okay, now here if you see the object locators, that is the properties we use to find the object on the browser page, and the action on the object and the test script all are in the same script, which can create issues later on. So let's say this is the we are finding this object using this particular object property, which is username. Let me also show you. Let's say if I go to the Orange HRM demo website, and here you can see this is the website, or this is the page from where we have this text box username. And if I do a right click on this and say inspect, you can see we have these properties, and using these properties we locate that particular object on the screen. So here this username is being used in that particular locator. Okay, so using such properties we find the object and then we do action on the objects. So let's say this particular name of this text box, which is username, changes in future. It becomes username 123 or something else. Now we will have to come back to our project and change it everywhere wherever it is used. So let's say it is used in 50 places, 50 different test cases. We have to go to each 50 different scripts and test cases and make the changes, which is not very efficient. It is manual, time consuming, and not a very good process, or a very efficient process, and it is error prone. So this is without page object model. When we do not use page object model, we have all our object locators, action methods, test scripts all in the same script or same place. So all are in the same place. Now as I said, if the object locator changes, we will have to go to all the places wherever it is used and update it manually. Okay, so in this case objects are not reusable because they are not at a single place. They are being created, or locators are being generated everywhere wherever they are used. Changes and maintenance is hard and not very efficient, and code is also not very clean. So you can see it is not a very readable code. Okay, so this is without page object model. Now with page object model, what happens? So let's say as of now this is our script which has the object locators as well as the test scripts, action methods all added at the same place. So here we will separate out the object and the action methods. Objects means the locator of the objects. Let's say we are doing a login test. In that case we are dealing with three objects, that is, one is the username text box, the password text box, and the login button. So the locators we use to locate these objects are the object locators, and the action we do on these objects, like enter username, enter password, click on login button, all these are action methods. So we separate out all these object locators and action methods in a separate class, and we call it loginpage.java. Okay, similarly the test methods or the test scripts will be stored separately in the test class. Here we are calling it logintest.java, and these will talk to each other. So in the login test we will either create an object or call this class, and then we can use the objects from here. Similarly, in any test case wherever we need any object from loginpage.java, we will call it from this particular class. Now what happens in this case is the code becomes very clean. Objects are stored separately, action methods are stored separately, and test scripts are stored separately. And now whenever any changes happen to any of the object or action methods, we just have to go to one particular place, that is the page class of that particular page, and we will just make the changes there, and it may be referred in 50 different test cases at 100 different places. We don't have to worry, we just have to make changes at a single place. So objects are reusable, the changes are efficient, making any changes updates is very easy and not time consuming, not error prone. All right, so the page object model is a design pattern used in test automation. If I just search and show you, I search for page object model, and if I go to images, you can see, let's see this image. So here you can see, in a no page object model structure, in a single class we have all the web elements, methods and test methods, but in a page object model based structure we have the objects and object action methods separately, stored separately in a class, and the test methods in a separate class, and these talk to each other. All right, so this is what page object model is. It is a design pattern where we store objects and test scripts separately. Okay, and here every page that we have to deal with in our test scenario, we will have a separate class for each page, and all the objects that we have to use in that page in any of the test cases will go in that particular class. Now, in case you find it a little difficult to understand, do not worry. Once we do hands-on, it will be very clear and you will be able to understand everything. Okay, so every page will have a separate class in the project, in the framework, and this class will have all the locators of the page that we have to use in any of the test cases, and the actions that we have to do on those objects, that is click, type, select, etc. And this is how it will help us. So it will make our code clean, it will be easy to maintain, it will be, the code will be readable, and objects will be reusable. Okay, so let's see a demo. How do we implement page object model in our project? Okay, so let's first understand what we are going to automate. So this is, I'll open my IDE Eclipse. This is our project, and let's see, in our test package we have two tests as of now that we have created in the earlier sessions. So let us go with the login test. This is what we created in the last session. Okay, so here we go to the login page, we enter username, enter password, and click on the login button and verify. The dashboard is displayed. Okay, so this is what we are doing here. You can also, let me just very quickly run and check this if it is all working fine. Okay, and you know, as I'm teaching you, you can do hands-on along with me. I will be going step by step, and at any location and any place, if you face any issues, you can always search online first so that you can get instant solutions. But still, if you want to discuss with me anything, any issue, or in general you want to discuss with me anything, you can let me know in the comment section. Okay, so yeah, it is adding username, password, and going to the home page. Okay, so here it is also doing a right click here, which let me just comment it out. I don't want to do a right click. Okay, this is what we are going to, this is what we already have. Now we will create, we will see what all pages our test is going in, and we will create pages, we will create classes under the pages package according to whatever web pages we have to interact with during our test. And page object model design says that typically for every page of the application we will have a separate class. So for login page we will have a separate class, and all these objects will go in that login page. For home page we will have a separate class. So it is very easy, and it is very clean. Okay, so let's go to the pages package, and we have already created the pages package in the earlier sessions. Here I will do a right click and create a class. I will call it login page, and I will also create one more class. I will do a right click and say new class, and I will say it is, this is home page, because we are interacting with these two pages in our test. Okay, now we already have, under the test package, we already have the login test that we created in the last session. So I will take this. In case you want to use any other test, you can go with that. Now we already have the scripts created, so I'm going with the same scripts that we already have in our login test.java. But if you want, you can always create a new test. We have also seen how do we do recording in the earlier sessions. Now in the login page class, I will create and add the object locators and methods for the login page. So all the objects that we have to interact with on the login page, the locators of those objects and the action methods, that is whatever actions we have to do on those objects, will go in the login page class. Okay, and the same we will do for the home page. On the home page, whatever objects we are interacting with will go in the home page class. Okay, so this is, let us see, this is what we are going to do in login page. Okay, so now if I go to login page.java, here what I will do is I will create a constructor. So you can see this is a constructor, and the constructor is a function which has the same name as the class name. So if the class name is login page, you can see the function name is also a login page. So a constructor is a function which has the same name as the class name, and it does not have a return type. So you can see we just give the modifier public and the name of the function, and then whatever we want to put in the function. Now the use of constructor is, whenever we will create an object of this class, and we will see that in a moment in the test script, we will create an object of login page class. So whenever we do that, the constructor is called by default. Okay, so in the constructor we can put anything that we want to happen as soon as the object of a class is created, of that particular class is created, or we can also force a user to give some parameters or whenever an object of the class is created. Now do not worry, you will get all this in a moment. Let us first create the objects. So we have the username text box, the password text box, and the login button. So I will say, now I'll tell you in a moment why I'm using private and final here. So I will say username. You can give any name to these object locators. Let me just first create all the variables. So we have three objects on the login page: username, password text box, and login button. Okay, now here these names, you can give any name here, but generally it is good that we give some meaningful names so that it is easily understood. Now we can also say username text box login page. So anyone who looks at this name will understand that on login page there is a text box which is for username. Okay, so this is also okay. So it can be something meaningful. All right. Okay, now the reason we are making it private and final is because private means this variable will be private to this particular class. Okay, and we don't want to expose it outside, so we can keep it private. And final means that once it is assigned a value, it will stay as it is uh, during our entire execution, so nobody can accidentally change it. All right, so that's why we are making it private and final. So in other words, we can say that we want to keep our locators safe and unchangeable, so we can make it private final. Okay, now after this we will create our constructor. I will say public and the same name as the class name, login page, and this is our constructor function. And inside this we can say, we can pass the page object, and then we can also say this dot page equals page. Now what why we are doing this, let me show you. So I will also say private page, and this should be coming from our Playwright library. Okay, now this, what we are doing is, this page object, we are taking it as a input argument or a input parameter. So whenever this will be called, this constructor will be called, or an object will be created, we are going to force the user to pass a page instance or a page object, and then whatever is passed will be made equal, will be assigned to the page variable of this particular class, which is this one. So whenever we use the this keyword, that means the variable of this particular class. So just making sure that this refers to this page. Okay, so that is why we do this, and this is what we generally use, the way of doing it in Java. Okay, now after, and the reason of doing this is because we want a continuation of the test. So this page object should be coming from our test what we are running, so that in case we don't do this, in case we don't do this, let's say we don't do this, and this also I can comment out, if you don't pass the page object from the test script and then make it equal to this page, so when we are doing this page.navigate, page.fill, page.click, this will be a new page instance and not the one which is being used in the test. And we don't want this, we want a continuation, or we want to just continue with whatever we are using in the test, and that's why we are doing this. And that is one of the reason of using this constructor, that is we will force the user, wherever this object will be created of this login page class, to pass the page object whatever is being used there, and this will continue with the rest of the things of finding the objects and doing the actions. So let us now do the actions of the object. Yeah, this is the one. I will now here, see, I can say public void add username. I'm adding a function of add username, and here I will say page and dot fill, and I will use the username text box, and here I will use the username. Now again, this should not be hard coded here, it is not a good practice, it should come from the test script, so the users can pass any data from there. So I will take an argument in this function of type string. I will say string username, you can name it anything, and the same will be passed here. So whatever will be passed as an argument to this function will be entered as a username here. Okay, similarly I will create one more function, public void add password, and here I will take the password as a argument, as an input parameter, and then I will say page dot fill and password text box, which I have already given here, and the password. And see, I have not yet added the locators, which I will do in a moment. Then public click login button, and here we don't need any data, so it should be void as well, the return type. Here I will say page dot click and login button. Okay, now it is your choice if you want to create these atomic functions. Atomic means one action at a time. Okay, so we are just adding username here, then filling password here, and clicking on the login button. But if you want, you can create a single function with all these actions. Now this will be based on your choice and your needs. So if you think that a single function with all the actions is okay, and we do not need these atomic functions separately to be used, you can add a single function. Or even if you want to keep all these functions and also a clubbed function or a function with all the actions in a single function, you can do that as well. So I will create one more function, public void login, and I can say I'm just going to add these again here, add username, add password, and click on login button. And of course I will also have to pass the username and password string here. Okay, so this is our login page class, and of course I will add the locators here. We can try to get the locators from here. So you can see this is what we need here. Now we can also get the locators by using our Playwright inspector or the code gen utility, and I believe in the last session you have seen how to use that. So if I try, I'll open my command prompt and I will change the drive to D. I will say D colon because my project is on D drive, and I will just copy my project location. I'll right click on the project folder properties and copy the location, and I will say cd change directory to my project location. And now I will use the command this is the command, and this should start the Playwright inspector along with the browser with our Orange HRM demo application. Yes, the Playwright inspector is here and our page is here. So here you can see we have this pick locator. So I will click this and see this, and you can see this is what it gives us. This is what it gives us, page.get by role options. And let me see if there is anything else we can use it for. Okay, this is what it gives us. And for the password, okay, this is what it gives us, and I think this is the same that we have got here. Okay, so let's try this in our login page. Okay, and similarly for password, this is what we have for password. And we can have some more shorter locators. I will try to do a session on that locators separately, but for now let's very quickly just add this. The login button is here. All right, so this is our login page class. Okay, let us now do the same thing for home page. So in the home page as well, so let's see whatever we are going to do. So we will say uh, let's see our test on the home page. We are just getting this time section. Okay, so I will say on the home page we have private final, and what we are actually doing here is we are just clicking here on this particular link. I will say this is public final string time link, and I will take this locator add it here, and I will also use the page object, and then I will create a constructor public home page, and in the constructor I will take the page object and then make it equal to the page object of this class. I will have to also import this from Playwright. Okay, and now I'll just create a function public void click time link, and here I will say page dot. I'll just use this. I'll say here click time link. Okay, so whatever you want to do on the home page, we are doing this here. Okay, now after this we have created the page classes. Now we have to update our login test, the login test to create objects for these page classes and then use these functions. So I have this login test. Now what I'm going to do is just to keep this login test as it is, maybe for future reference or maybe for comparing later on, I will just copy this and paste it again. I'll duplicate this, copy and paste. I will call it login test 2. Okay, and here I will make the changes. Okay, so that you can also see the difference. So here I will say this is what we are going to do. We are going to create objects of login page and home page. So we say we give the class name, give some object name or variable name here and say new class name, and you can see here because we are creating an object of login page, we will be forced to pass the page object because in the constructor we are taking this as an input parameter. So here I will say login page equals new login page, and you will see as soon as I do this it is throwing an error, and if I hover over this it is saying the constructor is undefined. We have to add the argument to match the constructor, and the argument that we have to pass is page. Okay, and we are not getting any error here because the page is coming from base test and we are extending base test here, or base test is the parent class. You can also go here to the base test over this and press Ctrl on your keyboard. This will turn into a link, and when you click it will take you back to base test, and you can see this is coming from here. Okay, similarly we will say home page and create a object equals new home page, and I will again have to pass the page object here and also import it. Okay, also I will press Ctrl plus Shift plus O to manage the imports. Any unused imports will be removed, and if there are any imports needed they will be added. This we have also seen in the earlier sessions. Also, if you see these yellow line below these login page and home page objects, this is because they are not yet used in this script, so we will use them. So now you can see I can say login page dot, and you will see all the actions or all the methods that we have created there are being shown here. But if you see uh, if I go to login page and this is the username text box variable, if I try to access this, I will say login page dot username. You can see it is not being exposed here, and that was the reason we made it private because we don't want these to be exposed outside. These should be used within the functions of this class, and the functions can be used outside. Okay, so that was the reason of making it private, and final means once they are assigned the value, these cannot be changed. So I will say login page dot, I can say add username, and I can give the username here which is admin, and I will say login page dot add password. Password is admin123, and then login page dot click login button. Okay, or I can directly use the login function in from the login page. I can say login page dot login. Here I will add the username and password. So you can either use this single function, you can just do this, it will do the login, or you can also do it in 3 steps. So based on your requirements, you can do that. I'll go here, press Ctrl D to remove that line, and then I will say home page dot click time link, which will just be a kind of a verification that we are on the home page. Okay. Now, of course, before that, we have to navigate to the link or to the web page. So I will say page.navigate, and then we are doing all these actions. Now you can see how clear it is. It is easy to read. We are saying add username, add password, click on login button. So it is very readable, very clean, and we now don't need all this. Okay. So you can just remove, or as of now, I am commenting by pressing Control and /. Also, you can select everything by saying Control A and then say Control plus Shift plus F to correct the formatting. Okay, so this is now our test. Let me just remove all this because we anyways have a copy of this. Okay, so you can see how clean and readable our test becomes now. All right. So now let's try to run and check if we are able to, run this test. So I have clicked on the run button. So this should run as a test-ng test. And when you are doing it for the first time, you may face some issues. That's completely okay. So this failed, and I think it did not even start. I think there was some issue. Okay, I think this failed because of the object locators. This was the issue. Okay, this is by while finding the objects. Let me uh, these are the objects. Let me try to just use what we have here: input name, username, input name, password, and button type submit. So let me try this. So I will say here instead of all this, I'll just use this for username, this locator for password. So see here we are saying that find a object of type input which has the name password. Okay, and similarly for the login button, we are saying find a object of type input, a type button where the type property is submit. Okay, this is for the login page, and let us see for the home page here. So let us just check here. If I add the username and password and login, I want to take this is the time link. Okay, I will do a right click and say inspect, and you can see this is what we need. if I do a right click here and say copy, we can say copy element or copy selector. If I say copy selector and try to see what the selector is copied, okay, this is what the selector is, but let me try to say copy XPath, and this is the XPath. ID is app. This is something I can use, or I will say copy JS path. JS path is even longer. Okay, I can actually just, copy the class. This is the class property available. I'll copy this class and add it here. I will say private final string time link equals. I'll just give this class name here. Okay, and comment this one. And then here I will say page dot locator and time link dot click. Let me just try now. I will run this and check now. Make sure that you save your project after making all these changes. And see, slowly and gradually, if you keep practicing, you will get to understand all these things. And yes, you can see now looks like it was able to find the objects and open the browser, but still it is failing. And this time, okay. Okay, this time also some object issue. Okay, I think I missed this. This is an unexpected token bracket. I think this was the issue. Uh, yeah, this is what is the issue. I will now try running it again, and you can see these kind of silly mistakes happen. Let's see now. So opens the browser, and yes, this time it added username, password, and clicked on login button, and it will check the time link. Maybe this will fail. I think, although this is, I have given the class name, the complete class name, but maybe the locator is not correct. That's fine. The locators, we will try to have a separate session. So yes, see, this failed. If I see the results, this failed, and the failure is here. It could not find that object in the for 30 seconds, which was the timeout. Okay, that's fine. But see, the main thing what we were focusing here is the page object model. And now you can see this is our complete test. It is very simple, clean. The changes will be very efficient. Now, let's say we have a separate class for each page of our application, or whatever test scenarios we have, we will keep a separate class for every page, and whenever anything changes on that page, maybe the object locators or action methods, we will just have to go to that particular class and make the changes. Okay, and all the classes will be under the pages package. So we will go to that particular page, make the changes, and these objects and these functions may be referred in, let's say, 50 different places. We don't have to worry, we just have to make change at a single place here. Okay, so this is how you can use page object model, and you can also add to your testng.xml and use this command to run testng.xml. This we have seen in the earlier session also, right? You can just add this. So we have our testng.xml here. So you can add your login test 2 here and then run with this file as well. All right, so this is what page object model is, and this is how we use page object model. Now I'm going to stop this particular session here. In the coming session we will see reports and command line, and I will try to add one more session for locators as well. Okay, so keep practicing, keep doing hands-on, and let me know if you face any issues. I will see you soon. Thank you for watching and never stop learning.